My son and my daughter-in-law dumped me at the airport like garbage with $50 and walked away laughing. I'm Cadell Anderson, 74 years old, 3 Purple Hearts from Vietnam. What my son Harry and his wife Lisa didn't know when they stole my house was simple. This broken old Marine had been 3 steps ahead of them for months. See, they thought forging my signature on property papers would be easy. My name is Cadell Anderson, 74 years old, Vietnam veteran, survivor of 2 wars. One fought on the battlefield, the other fought inside my own home. I thought I'd seen betrayal in my life, but nothing prepared me for the day my own son and daughter-in-law dumped me at the airport like a piece of trash, after pretending to take care of me for years. They thought I was weak. They thought I was senile. They thought the war had taken my strength. They were wrong. Thirport it was early morning when Mark, my son, and his wife Jasmine drove me to the airport for what I believed was a family trip. They insisted I go with them. Dad, you need a break, they said. I trusted them. Or maybe I wanted to. When we reached the drop-off zone, Mark hugged me too quickly. Jasmine placed a cheap paper envelope in my hand. There's your ticket, Dad. Gate 14, she said, smiling strangely. Before I could open my mouth, my son closed the trunk, patted my back, and hurried to the car. See you inside, he called out. But they never came back. I opened the envelope. No ticket, no money, just a single $50 bill. That's all my son thought I was worth. I stood there alone, while people rushed past with suitcases and families. My legs trembled, not from age, but from the punch of betrayal. But what they didn't know was this: I was never the fool they imagined. I saw their plan coming long before today. TCR garde plan 3 years earlier, after my wife passed away. Mark insisted I move into their house, for company. Jasmine treated me kindly at first. Too kindly. They controlled my medication. They took over my mail. They managed all my appointments. They even took my phone, for safety. The one day, they brought me a deed and said it was for refinancing the house so they could build me a downstairs bedroom. They said I needed to sign it because my name was on the property. I acted confused. I pretended my hands shook. I asked silly questions. They thought I was losing my mind. They laughed behind my back. But what they didn't know was the deed was fake. And I knew it the moment I saw it. Because I'm old, not stupid. I spent 20 years working in real estate law after the war. I could spot a forged signature before it even touched the paper. They wanted to steal my house. They wanted my savings. And when they thought I was weak enough to disappear, they planned to get rid of me for good. My Sasirat Masesayam. While they whispered and plotted, I watched and documented everything, every lie, every forged signature, every time they forgot to give me my medication, every dollar they stole from my account. I recorded conversations on a small voice recorder hidden inside an old radio. I took photos with a tiny camera inside a pen. I wrote detailed logs in a military notebook they never bothered to check. For 3 whole years, I built a file thicker than a dictionary. They thought I was broken, but I was preparing for war. Tshiir by Gistaisk to Mark and Jasmine didn't know the county recorder was a friend of mine from my old veterans group. He checked the deed they made me sign. It was fraud, blatant and sloppy. But instead of confronting them, I remained quiet. I played my part, a little slower, a little more forgetful, a little more fragile, until the day I chose for Justice Memorial Day. Memorial Di 800 PPOWTHING. Every Memorial Day, our town holds a large ceremony in the Central Park. Veterans gather, families attend, speeches are made, flags are raised. I knew Mark and Jasmine wouldn't miss it. They loved being photographed as the caring family who looked after a disabled veteran. I asked the event organizers for one favor: give me 5 minutes on the mic. I want to honor my brothers. They agreed. When my name was called, I walked up slowly, cane in hand, looking every bit like the fragile old man my son believed I was. The crowd of 800 fell silent. I began with a speech about sacrifice, loyalty, and betrayal. I watched Mark and Jasmine smile wide, thinking I was going to praise them. Then I dropped the bomb. I pulled out the file, hundreds of pages, voice recordings, photos, forged documents, and I said loudly, Betrayal doesn't always come from enemies on the battlefield. Sometimes it comes from the two people who call themselves your family. Gasps filled the park. Mark's face turned white. Jasmine stumbled backwards. I exposed everything their plan to steal my house, their forged deed, how they drugged me, manipulated me, isolated me, and finally dumped me at the airport. People stared at them with disgust. Veterans stood up, some of them crying in rage. The sheriff, also a veteran, walked directly to Mark and Jasmine and placed them under arrest right in front of everyone. Handcuffs clicked. Crowd cheering. Justice! An NEWBG, my house is mine again. My savings are secured. And Mark and Jasmine are facing charges for elder abuse, fraud, and abandonment. Reporters asked me how I survived all that. I said, "You don't survive Vietnam, then lose a war at home. I fought back because that's what soldiers do. Now I live peacefully, surrounded by real friends, my brothers and sisters in the veteran community. And I speak at events about elder abuse and the danger of blind trust. Because if my story teaches anything, it's this: excess age is not weakness. Age is experience. And nobody steals from a soldier who still remembers how to fight."